Calling all creatures of the night. Time to see who's the best bloodsucker around. The world has loved tales of vampires for hundreds of years. They've infiltrated every single media possible at this point, recounting stories of their dark, dastardly deeds. No surprise then that they've shown up in our comics as well. Marvel has a large cast of vampiric villains and heroes for us to explore. So as this is not a complete list, we have left a few out. So if we missed a favorite, we may do a follow-up. But for now, here are 8 of our most favorite Marvel vampires. The name alone already sets us up for a great entry. And yes, she is real. Bessie was a normal cow just living her normal cow life. Then suddenly, a very hungry Dracula comes along and decides, you know what, a cow will have to do. Bessie gained a few notable features from this transformation, including increased intelligence, strength, and milk that can cure a variety of human illnesses, including cancer. Bessie also sports a cape that transforms into wings to enable flight, though it's unlikely that it came from the vampire transformation. She searches the world to find Dracula and incite her revenge. So far, she's not been the most successful. But she's made some friends along the way, including the likes of Howard the Duck and the Merc with the Mouth himself, Deadpool. Bessie doesn't make it very high on our list since, despite all her powers, she is a cow. So she's limited in what she can do. No hate for Bessie, just lower ranking is all. If you've never heard of Stephen Strange's brother, I don't blame you. He did die before the Doctor even became a sorcerer. The younger Strange didn't have the best relation to his more notable hero of a sibling. Victor went to confront his brother after Stephen failed to show up for their father's funeral. He interrupted Stephen at a bad time. Well, let's just say that he had a guest. After encouraging his brother and said guest, Victor left angrily and was hit by a car. He did not survive, and Stephen then had him medically frozen with the hopes that technology would advance enough to heal his brother. But the Dr. Stephen Strange became Dr. Strange Sorcerer Supreme. And when science can't help your problems, magic is a fine solution. This resurrection resulted in vampirism. Victor hasn't had the best track record afterward. He did take up the mantle of Baron Blood for a time. Victor had many of the vampiric powers that come with the Marvelverse, but wasn't the most enthusiastic about using them. In the end, Victor did stake himself to avoid harming others, as he lacked control over his vampire urges. So the weaknesses of vampires did overwhelm this incarnation of Baron Blood in the end. Jubilation Lee, better known as the hero and mutant Jubilee, has been a vampire. Yes, it's true. After the events of M-Day, Jubilee was powerless for a time. Though she was no longer a meta-human, she did continue to fight crime. With the help of a high-tech supersuit, she joined the New Warriors, becoming the hero Wondra. Despite all this change, she couldn't have been prepared for what came next. The former mutant's world turned upside down when she was targeted by a vampire in a plot to eventually turn Wolverine. Infected with a virus due to an exploding vampire she encountered while out for lunch with Pixie, she was then compelled to seek out one of Dracula's sons, Zaris. When she finally encountered him, Zaris then fully transformed Jubilee into a vampire. She then served under him, helping him succeed in his plan to turn Logan to his side as well. After Zaris was defeated, Jubilee remained a vampire. To curb her bloodlust and suppress some of her vampire weaknesses, she was given some of Wolverine's blood. Jubilee still tries to live some kind of normal life. She lacks her former mutant powers, making her power set reliant on vampire abilities that have been partially cured. Her fighting and durability are still impressive, but she's not the most powerful of night creatures, but that suits her just fine. Possibly one of the more memorable or recognizable of the Marvel vampires, Morbius is usually an enemy of Spider-Man. Dr. Michael Morbius was simply trying to cure his genetic blood defect when his experiments accidentally turned him into a form of synthetic vampire. Now, being a synthetic vampire is a little different than your run-of-the-mill supernatural vampire. Morbius lacks some of the wilder powers of his more magical cousins, such as being able to shapeshift, manipulate the weather, or control animals. But he does lose some of the weaknesses of the other vamps. Not being instantly incinerated in sunlight is one perk, and he could also have Italian food if he really wanted, though his bloodlust is fairly severe, especially when he uses his powers a great deal. There have been a few incidences where the Doctor has been cured of his vampirism entirely, leaving him but an ordinary man. These instances never seem to last long, returning him once again to his more frightening state. It looks like he'll be getting another lease on life with the upcoming film, where he will be portrayed by none other than Jared Leto. Unfortunately, this is a Sony outing, so Morbius is not yet a solid part of the MCU, but that doesn't mean he won't ever face off against Peter Parker on the big screen. Fingers crossed for that face-off in the future though. What will this new outing for the living vampire entail? Well, we can't be so sure, but if everything goes to plan, we get to find out in the summer of 2022. The fact that Dracula himself only makes it to slot number 4 really speaks to how powerful Marvel's host of vampiric characters really are. Vlad Tepes. Count Dracula himself is a Marvel character. Yes, he is. This king among vampires wields an acute amount of power, enough to warrant an actual alliance from a variety of vampiric clans in order to take him down. Even then, the plans were thwarted in the end anyway. Being the first word in all of vampire kind has its perks and detriment. No harm, no foul, I guess. Spitfire is a bit of a unique case when it comes to vampires and superpowered beings. She's got both sets of powers at the same time from very different sources. The daughter of the Union Jack, Jacqueline was drained by her uncle, a former carnation of the Baron blood. In order to save her life, Jacqueline was given a transfusion of blood from the Human Torch, granting her some additional meta-human powers to add on. Spitfire benefits from some extra pieces of power thanks to this bizarre mix of blood and venom. She does not have any sunlighted version, nor is she consumed with any kind of bloodlust. Her fangs are there, showing up more prominently when she's angry, and she has the healing factor and strength of a vampire, being able to lift a ton by herself and healing some fairly major injuries in a matter of seconds. To top it all off, she has super speed that leaves a trail of non-damaging fire in her wake. In terms of non-superpowers, she was trained by both her father and Captain America in combat, making Spitfire an incredible powerhouse all on her own. Come on, Blade had to be on here. There was no way to do a list like this without featuring the career vampire hunter. Eric Brooks was affected by vampires before he was even born. His mother was drained by the vampire Deacon Frost when she was in labor with young Eric. Some of the venom from Deacon did alter Eric, leading him to be a Dhampir, a half-vampire, half-human hybrid. This mixture allows Blade to have all those incredible powers that come with being a vampire, but gives him a pass when it comes to weaknesses, especially those regarded more in superstition like garlic or symbols. Blade has also spent his entire existence, which is longer than normal thanks to his powers, becoming a trained vampire hunter. The longer than normal lifespan gives you a few extra decades worth of techniques and expertise. You don't want to cross this half-mortal hero, best to stay out of his way and let him do his job. We've already mentioned one of Dracula's sons, but when you take a closer look at their powers, there's no contest. Janus Tepes is the older son of the Impaler. Born the chosen host for the entity known as the Golden Angel, Janus inherited some crazy powers and durability. The Golden Angel is an entity that plagued Dracula for many years. His own son would become a new host for the entity, making him an agent of Heaven's will. So what makes him a force to face the likes of Dracula? Well, aside from the standard set of vampire abilities he got from his dad, Janus has the addition of the Golden Angel abilities. Flight, the ability to turn into an eagle, illusions, teleportation, shoot light projectiles from his hands, and the list goes on. Must come in handy just a little. This is just the tip of the fang when it comes to comic book creatures of the night. Maybe one day we can crack open the coffin on a few more. Till then, friends don't stake friends, wear some silver, and we'll see you next time.